Hi everyone, Ryan Duffy here from Precision Microbes, and today we are going to take on with another Tech in 10. I'm joined by the lovely
Tommy Heffernan here with Precision Microbes. Well, so silage is our topic today. So Tech in 10 is basically 10 minutes for us to cover a technical topic. So we better press the word go, stop clock goes. Silage, Ryan, we have a silage additive. I've been working with the silage additive from the team for the last 2 years, but you have a real interest. You've joined us now, and it's music to our ears. You have a real interest in silage. What's your background in silage?
Yeah, well, listen, I'm from a farm,
Yeah.
so that's obviously a fundamental component here because it is a cost-effective feed. It's very important in every bloody system, be it an Irish system or a UK system or anywhere, to be perfectly frank. So I've done a master's degree in ruminant nutrition, and there was a lot on silage.
Yeah, so I've learned a lot since you've even been with us the first couple of weeks. So a thing for me on silage is, for the winter periods, 3 to 4 months of the cow or the sheep or the diet, its second cheapest feed. Quality is absolutely key. I know people have heard it a million times before, but I'm interested as well. What I liked about this was feeding into the cow health and the farm biome piece we'll talk about again. But look, you've the expertise in this area. Talk about making silage, some of the background. What are the things we need to be thinking about? Because it is silage season.
Yeah, there's a few ways that we can evaluate how good silage is: chemical composition, fermentation quality, and nutritive value. So a few of those are based on lab work, and a few of them are based on equations and stuff like that. So it's very much predicted the feed value. So if we actually focus on fermentation quality today, because that's obviously where silage additives and inoculants come into the equation, what do we need to have a very, very good fermentation within our clamp or within our bales? Well, first of all, we need an anaerobic environment. So we need oxygen completely out of the equation. That's to let good microbes take off and to keep bad microbes out of the equation.
Okay, so when you talk about that, you get the anaerobic environment, good microbial fermentation.
Mm-hmm.
That occurs naturally if the sugars are high in grasses anyway, because a lot of people say I don't need silage, but it occurs naturally, but we want to get good fermentation right.
Definitely. So the anaerobic environment, that's obviously sealing of the clamp, that is wrapping of bales, and sometimes that can be a bit of a challenge, particularly around the sides of clamps or at the top. But bales, if there's any penetration at all and that's neglected, or birds start attacking bales, that's where we might end up having issues here. Having a good microbial fermentation, though, it's of paramount importance. So silage making can go right, can go wrong. Putting in an inoculant or an additive, that is probably the best way for us to influence what actually happens inside that clamp.
Because there's a lot of stuff that's out of our control in silage making, weather being the big one.
Massive.
Okay. So when we look at it, is this the next place to go to look at kind of our targets here, things we need to focus on?
Yeah, to look at or to assess fermentation quality specifically, these are areas that I'd be looking at straight away.
Okay, explain what dry matter is, percentage, what we're looking for.
Yeah, so dry matter percentage, you're looking in and around that 30%. The range that textbooks will tell you to go towards is 28 to 35%. You're looking at 30%.
Okay. pH, we want to drop down the pH quickly.
That's really, really important. It's not just a matter of getting the pH down, it's how quickly we can do it, because if we can get it down quick, we can keep bad microbes out of the equation and we can preserve the forage really, really rapidly. So that's key. So we're looking for a pH of around 4.
Okay.
If it's either way, we can have palatability issues.
Okay. What are the next things we need to look at?
So ammonia nitrogen, that's the next one. We want it to be less than 10%.
Okay.
And why is that? That is a breakdown product of the protein that we have within our nutrition or within our silage or our grass. So we need to absolutely keep that to a base minimum. How can we do that? By keeping bad microbes that break that down to a minimum.
So microbes that are going to degrade proteins into nitrogen and ammonia.
Exactly, particularly ones that have been incorporated in with soil for whatever reason. Maybe the tethers haven't been set right, maybe rakes are taking in a wee bit of soil. We definitely want to keep that to a base minimum. You can't have it at 0 because these microbes are there. Okay. So aiming for less than 10%.
And finally, acids is your last metric.
Yeah, acid's really key. Sometimes if you look at your silage analysis, you'd have lactic acid, acetic acid, butyric acid, or maybe just the proportions of the volatile fatty acids. So what we're aiming for here is 75% lactic acid or above, acetic acid about 15 to 20% of that, and butyric acid really, really, really low. That causes that foul smell that we get a really bad fermentation. So cattle will avoid it.
One of the things we see with, and I have seen from practical experience, you go to the website and hear farmers talk about it as well, is the sweet smell from our product, the excellent preservation and big intakes from a cattle perspective again. So what are we doing here? What's the science behind what we're doing around silage inoculants and silage additives, should I say?
Well, we're getting that balance right with the acids. We're getting lots and lots of lactic acid. It's really, really potent. It decreases the pH really quickly. Acetic acid and butyric acid won't do that. It's a lot slower. And if it's slower, it lets bad microbes grow. So this will go up.
Okay.
Dry matter will go down. So we really, really need to have lots of lactic acid. So with the silage inoculant that Precision Microbes have, we're driving homofermentation, which is fermentation in one direction. That is the production of lactic acid exclusively. That's what we're aiming for. And we're doing that with lactic acid forming bacteria. They're known as lab bacteria.
Okay, and they're alive in a liquid. So just you have some pathways down here as well. And just, I'm sorry to be direct, but are you saying this is the next step here? We've got the LABs coming in. Why have you got these formulas down here?
Yeah, so we have homofermentative lactic acid. There's also heterofermentative. But as I said, what we want is we want one direction reactions. So homofermentation. What they're going to do is they're going to get the sugars that are in our grass, likes of glucose, the likes of fructose, and the likes of pentose, and they're going to degrade them into lactic acid. So glucose will be broken down by homofermentative lactic acid bacteria into 2 lactic acids. That is twice as efficient as heterofermented lactic acid bugs. Okay. So it's a no-brainer in that regard. Fructose, on the other hand, it's broken down by the good bugs to 2 lactic acids as well. That is 6 times as efficient as heterofermentation.
Okay.
So it's quite clear that this will get the pH down quickly.
And we've seen that from some trial work we did with TUS and that loan as well. Okay, talk to me about application rates for silage additive.
Yeah, so silage additive, there's 2 main ways that we can dose it in. We can do standard dose, and we can do ultra low dose.
So when I look at ultra low dosing, it's like your special nozzle, you're micro misting it onto the silage here. My drawing is absolutely appalling, but you're micro misting it on.
It's covering more surface area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're covering more surface area, again, you're being more efficient with the product.
So that can be put on straight line, is it?
Yeah, liquid, live bacteria.
At 100 mils per ton. What standard dosing then? What's the rate there?
We're looking at in and around 1 litre per ton.
Okay, and that's at a dilution effect, isn't it?
That's at a dilution effect of 10%. So practically, the silage additive comes in 10 litres.
Okay.
So if we put 10 litres of Precision Microbes in, add in 90 litres of clean water, we're going to get a 10% solution for our standard dosing.
So same dose rate per ton, but that's diluted up.
That's standard is diluted, ultra low dose. It's just so much more efficient because of that misting.
Okay. One of the things I found very interesting here to pull you across the whiteboard here is obviously from a cow health perspective, you're dropping pH. The microbes we're using are getting inoculated into the silage. And one of the things that I've seen early doors was, particularly I was down with Derek in Salesian Ag College, and they were talking about, the silage quality tested this way, but they were even cow performance. They were looking at cow performance even in the dry period. They were really happy with it. The cow health piece, looking at some figures on rumination as well. Homofermentation inoculants, rumen health, cow health, and performance. You talk about that?
Yeah, well, look, if we have a lactic acid driven reaction, you're going to get that sweet smell, that lovely golden silage. What are cattle going to do? They're going to consume it. It's more palatable. And naturally enough, if they're consuming stuff that has higher dry matter, it's more palatable and it has higher levels of crude protein. What's going to happen? You're going to get far, far better results from the nutrition. You do see it in rumination, you see it in performance.
Okay, excellent. So I suppose we would say this, but silage additives make sense if they're applied correctly. People can make silage without additives, and that's fine as well. But it's, I suppose, another insurance policy, and this is very important feed. Any last thoughts on silage inoculants you need to get out?
No, look, it's something that we do every single year, but it is such an important diet for pregnant cows, early lactation animals, anything that's housed. So it's a no-brainer. It's, as you say, it's another insurance policy.
Okay, excellent. So Tech in 10, that's it. We've landed in before the 10 minutes. If you have a topic you want us to cover in Tech in 10, it's a new series. We're just trying it out. we're trying to whiteboard out, doing a bit of a technical deep dive, let us know. Any other comments, Ryan?
No, I think we've covered it. So happy out.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.